When Indigenous rights are under attack, what do we do? Step up, fight back. When Indigenous rights are under attack, what do we do? When the climate is under attack, what do we do? When the water is under attack, what do we do? Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Oh man, it's so wonderful to see all your beautiful faces here today. Young people, older people, elders, all of you in the mix. I'm really, really happy to see you all here today. Our next speaker is a dear sister of mine, a very dear friend, somebody that I look up to, that I admire. She's very powerful, strong, courageous person. Melina Labakan Massimo has worked on social, environmental, and climate justice for the past 15 years, facing the first-hand impacts of the Alberta tar sands in her home community, Little Buffalo. Melina has been a vocal advocate for Indigenous rights and environmental justice. Please join me in welcoming up to the mic tonight. Yeah.
It's an honor and privilege to be here on Coast Salish territory and be here as a visitor. As some of you might know, I come from the Alberta tar sands. I come from the Lubicon Cree. I come from bearing a message from the many communities that struggle with what we're faced with at the source of the problem of the Kinder Morgan pipeline. As we know, what happens here will affect us back home. We know that it will affect us all over the world, actually. What we've seen in the Alberta tar sands is devastating impacts already, where we can't drink the water from the streams where the hunters go and hunt, where we can't pick medicines and berries. All of the things that, you know, our people have done for thousands and thousands of years from time immemorial. Cultural genocide is what we're seeing at this point, and it's not okay. Shame. As some of you might have also known, we've also experienced one of the biggest oil spills in our traditional territory. 4.5 million liters spilled onto our traditional territory from a pipeline spill into our territory, and it covered beaver dams, and it took over our territory where people had to continue to dig and dig and dig down for a year to be able to scrape it out. It was really a very traumatizing experience with my family and my community, and I hope that no other community and no other family would have to experience such a thing. I actually wrote some words for Trudeau today. As we know, Trudeau's convinced many people that he would fulfill the promises he made during his campaign pledge, and many people here probably voted for him. But instead, he has become a peddler of oil money, doing the bidding of the oil lobby at the expense of taxpayers. Can you imagine what we could have done with $4.5 billion that could go towards implementing renewable energy instead? Could you imagine what a future would look like? But instead, he has locked us into decades more of unsustainable fossil fuel extraction and production. Today, we can say with total certainty that Trudeau has failed. Trudeau has failed Indigenous communities and their right to say no. Trudeau has failed the generations to come. Trudeau has failed us in the tar sands and the right to breathe clean air and clean water. He has failed to protect the beautiful coast, the beautiful waters on this coast in the inland waters of the Secwepemc territory and the Secwepemc peoples. He has failed the United Nations declarations on the rights But you know what? Shame! Shame! Shame, Motley. As someone from Alberta, shame.
The burning eyes of hell!
Okay. But you know who hasn't failed? Us. Today is still a celebration because you know what? We beat Kinder Morgan. We beat Kinder Morgan. We beat Kinder Morgan into submission and really tail between its legs back to Texas. We beat the biggest oil company in the world, and we will still not allow this pipeline to go through. We will still continue to stand strong and protect future generations when the current government will not. We will continue to raise our voices in defiance. We will continue to be on the front lines. We will continue to protect our lands, the water, and the climate, and we will do this from the love, because our love for the land is stronger than greed, senseless profit, and selfishness. And as prophecy says, when the last tree has been cut down, the last river has been poisoned, and the last fish has been caught, only then will man realize he cannot eat money. But let's hope that that prophecy also tells us that we have a choice between a green future and one of a scorched dead earth. And that will happen only if we continue to work together, to lift each other up in love and have justice in our heart, to continue to work together, to be strong together, to lift our voices up, lift up other voices of strong sisters and brothers, stay committed, continue to stand with those on the front lines. Hi, thank you very much.